Ever heard the saying, "A picture is worth 1,000 words"? But what if those words muddle into a chorus of bafflement and intrigue? Throughout history, we've captured moments on camera that even today have scientists scratching their heads. From odd occurrences to mysterious figures who've sidestepped the mainstream historical narrative, join us as we unravel these rare historical photos that scientists cannot explain. Number 1. Egyptian Mummy Seller. Imagine strolling through a market and spotting mummies for sale. As mind-boggling as it sounds, that's exactly what happened during the height of Egyptomania. The world was head over heels for all things Egyptian. It was the trend du jour. From jewelry designs to architectural details, Egyptian aesthetics were in vogue. But with this passion came a darker underbelly, an unquenchable thirst for Egyptian relics. The tales of mysterious tombs and golden treasures lured a certain kind of opportunist, the tomb robbers. Desperate to tap into the booming demand, these looters raided ancient burial sites, snatching artifacts and, yes, mummies too. Now here's the bonkers part. People in Europe didn't just want to admire these relics in museums. Oh no, they wanted to flaunt them in their homes, maybe even host a mummy unwrapping party. Talk about a weird way to entertain guests. As a result, a bustling black market emerged, and many historical artifacts were either irreparably damaged or lost. It's a stark reminder. Sometimes our fascinations can have unintended consequences. And as for mummy-themed parties, maybe just stick to costume parties instead. Number 2. The Isolator. Ever felt your focus waver in this world brimming with distracting gadgets? Well, our counterparts in the 1900s had their distractions, albeit not smartphones or gaming consoles. Fast forward to our era, and we've got apps that lock our phones or quirky to-do lists to keep us on track. But wind the clock back to 1925 and imagine the solution for your distraction woes, an enormous dark helmet called the Isolator. No joke. Picture this. Instead of sipping some coffee or stretching your legs, you're considering encasing your head in a wooden monstrosity. Only tiny slits for the eyes, so you're glued to your work, and an oxygen tube, because apparently adequate breathing wasn't on the feature list. It sounds more like a recipe for a heart-thumping scare than focus. The brain behind this bizarre invention? Hugo Gernsback, who thought that by sealing yourself off from the world, the mind would become a laser-focused machine. While the modern mantra leans towards comfortable workspaces, Hugo took the opposite track. But let's face it, being too cozy might make one lose focus, but being too claustrophobic, that's just a head-scratcher. Number 3. The Leatherman. Ever glanced at a stranger and wondered about their life story? Take, for instance, this intriguing fellow from 19th century Westchester, New York. While one might dismiss him as just another drifter, this man, fondly called the Leatherman, had quite the reputation. Like clockwork, every 34 days, he'd trek a whopping 365 miles between the Connecticut and Hudson rivers. So punctual was our Leatherman, families on his route would often prepare meals awaiting his arrival. Yet for someone so consistent, his backstory was shrouded in enigma. Few words passed his lips, and those that did were barely more than muffled sounds or simple gestures. Over time, tales about him grew wilder. A lost lover seeking solace, a once rich businessman left penniless, each story more fascinating but none ever confirmed. After his death in 1889, the allure surrounding the Leatherman didn't wane. In a twist fit for a mystery novel, a 2011 excavation to study his remains yielded nothing recognizable. It seems the universe intends for the Leatherman's secrets to remain just that, secrets. Number 4. Tunguska Incident. Have you ever seen a forest flattened like matchsticks but with no sign of what knocked them down? Let's rewind to 1908 in Siberia's secluded wilderness. On an ordinary morning, June 30th, the peace was shattered by a colossal explosion in the Tunguska region. Imagine an area larger than a major city, with millions of trees toppled like dominoes, pointing outward from the blast's center. Locals reported a sky lit up by a flaming trail, more luminous than the sun, followed by scorching heat and shock waves so powerful that they broke windows and knocked folks off their feet, even from hundreds of kilometers away. Here's the kicker. Despite such havoc, no one discovered an impact crater. When the scene was finally surveyed years after, all that greeted investigators was haunting emptiness and not a trace of a meteorite. Was it a disintegrating comet? An asteroid that went poof before hitting the ground? Or just maybe were there extraterrestrial fingerprints on this event? The enigma of Tunguska continues to tantalize and puzzle us. Number 5. The Man in the Iron Mask. Ever heard about the legendary Man in the Iron Mask? Grab some popcorn because this is the kind of story that'll have you leaning in. Picture 17th century France. King Louis XIV's reign. Amongst the sea of faces, one stood out, and not because he was a charming prince or an evil sorcerer. This guy wore an iron mask, day in and day out. Now talk about commitment to fashion, right? So, who was he? Did he lose a bet? Was the mask a 17th century version of skincare? Held for decades in places like the Bastille, not even his jail buddies knew who he was or why he had such a strong affinity to his facial accessory. Gossips ran wild. Was he a nobleman? An estranged royal? An early method actor? Now, when author Alexander Dumas got wind of this, he spun a thrilling tale, suggesting this masked man was none other than the twin of Louis XIV. A twin drama. Isn't that just classic? But hey, that's just one theory out of many. Historians have been having a field day throwing names into the hat, from political prisoners to noble dropouts. But to this date, his true identity? Still a bigger mystery than where your left sock disappears to in the laundry. Today's subscriber pick ever stumbled upon an old photo and thought, now what on earth is going on here? I've got a curious snapshot that's left many a scientist scratching their heads. Picture this, a vast universe. Stars, planets, and then, is that a UFO? We've all heard whispers of extraterrestrial encounters, from Roswell's unsolved tales to the mysterious goings-on at Area 51. Rumor has it, this top-secret facility in Nevada isn't just testing advanced planes. There are talks of UFO tech makeovers and even some out-of-this-world consultants, literally, collaborating with human scientists. So, what's the real scoop? Are the bigwigs really shielding us from ET buddies, or are we just letting our imaginations fly higher than a UFO? Beam your thoughts into the comments below. Number 6. Photo of Babushka Lady. Ever dived down a history rabbit hole and stumbled upon a mystery so intriguing you can't help but seek answers? Oh, you have? Then you've probably heard of the Babushka Lady. No, not your sweet Russian grandma, but the mystery woman from November 22nd, 1963. On this dark day, while JFK was being assassinated in Dallas, amidst the whirlwind of shock and sorrow, a lone figure stood out. Captured on film, there she was, with her old-world headscarf, eerily calm in the midst of chaos, camera in hand. While the world around her was losing its mind, she seemed almost prepared. Now here's the kicker. Where's her footage? You'd think it'd be a golden ticket to understanding that fateful day. Yet despite the best FBI agents playing Where's Waldo, our Babushka Lady never stepped into the limelight. Some have claimed her identity, but solid evidence. It's like searching for a needle in a haystack in the dark, blindfolded. Who was she, and where did she vanish? Number 7, McDonald's Clown. Who here finds clowns a tad unsettling? Just me? Now, if Ronald McDonald gave you the jitters, brace yourself for his 1960s look. Picture a guy, not just any guy, but one wearing a tray as a hat, a belt that's basically an endless vending machine of McDonald's goodies, and a nose that looked like he's sniffed too many cups of coffee. And those eyes, more misaligned than my attempts at DIY home decor. The whole getup screamed less Happy Meal and more nightmare fuel. But here's the twist in our story. As time passed, Ronald got a glow-up. Out went the wonky-eyed, tray-hatted version, and in came the iconic, less spine-chilling Ronald we all recognize today. So now, when you walk into McDonald's, the only real fright might be hearing, "Sorry, the ice cream machine's down." Again. Number 8. Zodiac Killer. Ever wonder about the nerve-wracking puzzles from the 60s and 70s that had Northern California biting their nails? Picture this, a serial killer, known as the Zodiac, causing ripples of fear. But here's the kicker. Instead of leaving a sneaker print or fingerprints, this guy went old school, sending goosebump-inducing letters filled with ciphers to newspapers. But what did these codes mean? Was it a game, a message, a grocery list? While some armchair detectives and cipher enthusiasts have unlocked a few of these mysteries over the years, other codes remain as confounding as your grandma's TV remote. Now the million-dollar question. Who was this Zodiac character? Was he a politician, craving more limelight? A genius-level crook with a flair for theatrics? Or was Zodiac a team, working together like a nefarious book club? It's a whirlpool of theories. All right, folks. As we've journeyed through these mind-boggling historical photos, it reminds us just how much of our past is yet to be uncovered and how many enigmas lie waiting in the shadows of time. Even with the leaps and bounds in science, some things remain tantalizingly out of grasp. What do you think? Are there explanations we're missing, or are some things destined to remain mysteries forever? Drop your thoughts and theories below. And if you've enjoyed this trip down the unexplained lane of history, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more intriguing tales. Until next time, keep those curiosities alive and remember, history isn't always black and white.